Ron is an experienced IT leader who has successfully run IT business operations function for 3 Fortune 50 companies and brings a wealth of knowledge to Gilead in the areas of IT, financial stewardship, vendor management, and managed services transformation. Let's hear what these industry leaders have to say. Over to you, Ron.
Hello, folks. It's glad to be here. Mark, I'm glad that you're here, that you can make the time to have this discussion with the team. Before we get into the Q&A and the discussion that we want to have, I want to give you a moment to make a comment about the situation we have going on relative to the pandemic in India.
Yeah, well, first, I want to thank the TIE organization for having us here today. And I do want to make a statement about what's going on in India. You know, it's really terrible, you know, how hard the pandemic is hitting in India. It really hits close to home for many of us. I know many of us have friends, family, colleagues, partners that are impacted by the situation in India. So our hearts really do go out to everyone there. And, you know, it's not just our hearts that are going out to everyone there. Gilead is taking specific actions to combat the situation there. And we can talk a little bit more about that later.
So to double click on that, the COVID pandemic is top of mind for everyone in the pharma space. Can you share a little bit about Gilead's role in the development of remdesivir and other ways the company is stepping up to this global challenge?
Yeah, I mean, many people aren't aware, but Gilead's involvement in COVID started many years ago. It dates back to 2009 when Gilead researchers first developed the antiviral compound remdesivir. Originally, remdesivir was intended to treat hepatitis C. And while it was ultimately found ineffective at treating hepatitis C, Gilead researchers continued studying the compound for other viruses, including Ebola. And eventually, the researchers did find that remdesivir was effective against viruses in the coronavirus family, such as MERS and SARS. So when the pandemic hit us in February 2020, Gilead was pretty quickly able to mobilize efforts with remdesivir. By April, remdesivir had been commercialized under a product named Veklury, and we had already started working with the Food and Drug Administration on an accelerated emergency use authorization to use remdesivir for COVID. So kudos to the Gilead researchers for their perseverance in, knowing that they had a compound that would be useful against these viruses. And that was really, the key in enabling us to mobilize quickly once COVID-19 hit us.
So Mark, tell me a little bit more as our CIO, what was IT's role in remdesivir?
Yeah, I mean, when a company like Gilead has to launch a product like remdesivir, it really does take an end-to-end coordinated effort across every function and business unit in the company. From an IT perspective, specific contributions included things like standing up public-facing websites to disseminate information about the compound, or working with our supply chain and manufacturing team to reallocate capacity from other products in our portfolio to remdesivir. So, and unfortunately, we all know that the pandemic has caused a spike in cyber events. So our cybersecurity team really needed to step up and proactively ensure that criminals did not disrupt the launch operations for the new drug or the new drug application. We needed to obviously protect the formula for the compound. So our cybersecurity team played a key role in ensuring that we were able to bring this product quickly and safely to market. So IT, absolutely played a key role in contributing to the launch of this drug.
It's an amazing story on that. Marc, the other thing is, as you know, that last question was IT specific. As we're looking at what's going on in India right now, what is Gilead as a corporation doing to step in and help right now?
Yeah, I alluded to this earlier. It's really a two-pronged approach that we're taking. First, we are working with partners to accelerate production of generic remdesivir through voluntary licensing agreements. This allows partners to increase their batch sizes, add new manufacturing facilities, onboard local manufacturers across various countries. So we are not just bringing this to market alone. We're doing so with a partner ecosystem. And that's significantly increased the supply. We have also been very active in donations of supply. Just with this latest outbreak in India, we have donated at least 450,000 vials of Veklury to the Indian government. So, this is absolutely not just a commercial opportunity for Gilead. We are really seizing the opportunity to make an impact in the world through these types of donations and building of partner ecosystems.
Yeah, and I'd like to take this moment to thank Gilead for what they're doing there, and for all of us as a community to continue leaning in and doing what we can to get through this. The amount of momentum we've seen in the past months is huge, and I will hopefully continue to see that trend continue. So, Marc, one thing that I've seen from you as a CIO is you are very disruptive and transformation oriented. Adding to this pandemic we're having is another example of unforeseeable disruption that we're having while you're going through a massive change that you're taking Gilead IT through. How will this massive change in the way so many business processes are approached benefit the company, our patients, our partners in the future?
Yeah, you hear a lot of CIOs talking about how the pandemic is accelerating digital transformation, accelerating behavioral change. And I do think that holds true within Gilead as well. I'll give you a couple of examples. In terms of behavioral change, we really see the organization out of necessity needing to become much more efficient in business process execution, lean in terms of eliminating waste, both within our IT operational processes as well as our business processes. So we are very focused on continuing to drive and accelerate business process improvement types of initiatives, whether it be ERP, such that we can execute financial, supply chain, commercial operations processes more efficiently, or cloud migration, such that we can be very efficient in the way that we host and provision infrastructure, both for continuing operations as well as innovation. And what we're finding is that these initiatives also require a behavioral change, so things like agile entrepreneurial mindset, having a formal process improvement orientation and focus. We really see these behaviors and competencies coming to the forefront. And that hasn't always come naturally, I think, in the pharma industry or specifically at Gilead. So as an example, a hesitation in the past of fully adopting moving mission critical workloads to the cloud has been a perception that public cloud providers cannot effectively manage GXP certified landscapes. When in fact, the public cloud providers have come a long way in having GXP certified landscapes in recent months and years. and now have a perfectly viable platform to host mission critical pharma workloads. And similarly, I think Gilead and others in the pharma industry have been historically a waterfall-driven project implementation methodology. We're really trying to push agile at scale. And I think that, this mindset of, we have to have zero defects because we operate in a highly regulated environment. That does hold true for many of our processes. However, we also have processes where agile is an effective methodology and mindset to use, and we're being more prescriptive and refined in the way that we delineate those processes and really focus on driving agile at scale for those processes that we think are amenable to it. And of course, like every company, not limited to the pharma industry, but our ways of working were disrupted and being rethought, where Gilead, because of our strong research culture, researchers are in the labs. We also have a very strong work in the office culture for the functions that support our research scientists. That's not going away. We still strongly believe in collaboration through co-location, but at the same time, we have also recognized that certain roles can be effective with remote work, and so we are finding the middle ground of kind of that hybrid work environment, like many other companies are. So those are a few examples of how our digital transformation initiatives, if anything, are being accelerated, and the behaviors and the culture and the competencies required to drive those initiatives are also being brought to the forefront. And of course, organizational change management, as we work through many change initiatives in parallel, is a strong focus for us as well.
So you really did double down on my question about how disruptive are we being? What transformation are we pushing? As you go through the journey that you just talked to us about, and you use the word mindset that I do like, how does this mindset and process improvement journey streamline and make your IT org more efficient and more ready for the next journey and challenges ahead?
Yeah, well, I think that IT needs to have a strong foundation to have permissions to focus on higher value add business transformation kinds of initiatives. So, if we are efficient and lean at provisioning infrastructure, if we support the business in being efficient and lean in core transaction processing, if we are efficient and lean in providing basic management reporting, that allows us permissions to focus on investing in higher value add capabilities like artificial intelligence and machine learning and advanced analytics and robotic process automation, which all play a key role in, pharma of the future, right? Bringing drugs to market faster, bringing drugs to market with higher efficacy rates. AI, machine learning, robotics plays a key role in doing that. But if we don't have a strong foundation to build on, we're never going to get, we're never going to move to the next tier of the pyramid, so to speak. So, that has been really a focus on build that foundation, and that foundation includes, core foundational data management elements as well. Have good data standards in place, have data quality management mechanisms in place, have cross-functional forums in place such that, we have one single version of the truth for master data and so forth. And that allows us to have good, clean data feeding into algorithms, with more advanced statistical capabilities and so forth. So, it's I don't know if back to basics is the right phrase for it, but it really has, like you said, doubled down on our focus on running a clean, efficient foundation to build off of.
So let me double click on that a little bit with you. You've a lot of CIOs talk about machine learning, artificial intelligence, et cetera. You talk a lot about data being the backbone, the foundation. You mentioned the word foundation a couple times in the last period that you're speaking. Talk to me a little bit about how, in the audience, about how data is really the bloodline that fuels the other things we're wanting to do here in IT.
It really is. I mean, and not just what we want to do within IT, but what we want to do across the entire company. Within IT, we're really driving a data-driven decision-making culture from the very start of our end-to-end delivery process. So when you think about, working with business stakeholders to collect demand, right? What does the business want from IT? How does IT work with business stakeholders to synthesize that demand? I mean, I think we can all acknowledge that the demand for IT services always surpasses supply. So we need some mechanism to deal with managing this demand. So taking a data-driven approach to the way that we collect this demand, synthesize it, assess it against how much value it's going to add to the business, use that as a mechanism for prioritizing, and use that as a mechanism for having an IT plan of record. Now, that's not a one-time event. That's a continuous, process, pruning an agile backlog, reprioritizing as new business imperatives come up. But we've come a long way in making that a data-driven process. When we talk about ERP, one of our marquee transformation initiatives is an SAP S/4HANA ERP implementation. Getting all of the stakeholders for a process transformation initiative like that on the same page around what do we want to achieve through this initiative? And then let's use data to ensure that we achieve it. Whether it's operational improvements, we want to, improve our on-time and full rate within supply chain. We want to reduce the number of manual process steps in creating a financial plan or reporting results to Wall Street. We want improved stickiness of our commercial websites through the way that we disseminate information about our products. These are all quantitatively measurable operational improvements that we're aspiring towards with transformation initiatives like this ERP. And we're very much driving towards a data-driven approach to the way that we manage it. And then, of course, outside of IT, when we talk about bringing drugs to market faster with higher efficacy rates, data sets like clinical trial data and real-world evidence data are increasingly needing to be integrated with business operations data that I've mentioned. For kind of big data sets and big data analytics use cases, which can really add a lot of value to our commercial processes and manufacturing processes. So, when I say data is really the lifeblood, it's not just, core IT operations. It's really our end-to-end IT delivery model, as well as the way that we engage with business stakeholders and what business stakeholders require from us.
Thank you, Marc. That was a great answer to that question. It appears you have a very ambitious agenda coming into the Gilead team. I think the team has a very exciting journey going forward with you. Thank you so much for taking the time to do a double click on some of these items. Is there any other items you'd like to close with, to leave the audience with a cliffhanger so they look forward to your next appearance at TiEcon?
Well, first, I would be remiss for not thanking the Gilead team for all of their efforts, of course, not just during this pandemic, but particularly during this pandemic. Just within IT, we have over 400 employees and 2,500 managed service partners and contractors that are just going above and beyond every day to support the company's mission to bring really life-saving therapies to market. And I want to underscore how important the behind-the-scenes work is that goes into achieving those results. And this has not come without stress. Whether people are personally impacted or professionally impacted by the pandemic, or their work-life balance equation has been turned upside down because they're 110% laser focused on achieving these goals. The team has just been showing up every day, and I couldn't be more proud to be part of the Gilead team. So thanks to all the Gilead team members. No, I think besides that, in closing, this pandemic has caused a lot of pain, for many, but it also has unlocked many opportunities. So I know that at Gilead, we are focused on leveraging this pandemic as a catalyst to accelerate our transformation efforts, to accelerate our cultural evolution within IT and across the company overall. And we will continue to do so. And we have a lot to learn. We're not perfect. So we do benchmarking with our peers in the industry and others. And I know that many other companies are following a similar approach in terms of leveraging and accelerating based on this catalyst. And so I would encourage everybody to continue to do that. And we look forward to continuing our mission, which is really not just with virology, but with HIV and oncology, to bring life-saving therapeutics to market. And I know I speak for the entire Gilead team when I say we're energized by that mission, and we're going to keep going at full speed.
Hey, Marc, great having this conversation with you. Love the closing. Thank you to the team. Thank you to what we're doing to work for the patients and all the folks out there in the global community. And thank you to TiEcon for taking the time to have us on.
Thank you. Thank you, TiEcon.
Thank you, Marc and Ronald. That was very informative.